Morning, tubers. Okay, there's the time, and that's the temp, and it's going to be a John Kerry day for sure. I think they said about 109, 110 today for temp. Getting a late start today. Stayed up a little late last night. We were watching the news. Midnight. It was legal to if you had a license to sell recreational marijuana, and they made a big deal about it, so we stayed up and watched the news on it and everything else. God, the people that were in line, you thought it was they were passing out free tickets to a concert or something. I mean, there were an ungodly number of people in line to these stores to sit there and purchase, be the first to purchase. Actually, there was a Nevada state senator, and Oscar Goodman was even out last night at midnight to be the first to purchase recreational marijuana. So it's true, it is in the state of Nevada if you come here, but the funny thing about it is they really thought this thing through. The bunch of idiots we have for politicians. The fact is that if you come here and you're staying in a hotel, well, you can't smoke it there. You can't smoke it in a bar. You can't smoke it in a casino. You can't smoke it in your hotel room. So as a tourist, the only place you can do it is in your car, and you better not be sitting in the driver's seat, because then they'll get you for being high while driving. So, I mean, they really thought this thing out, so I'd leave that alone. Let's get back on to what we're doing here. Here's the new return line. The guy who made the return line, the kid who made the return line, told me this was a flared fitting, 3/8 flared fitting. So I went to Home Depot and I got a 3/8 flared fitting. Remember, the gas tank, the return line on the gas tank is 1/4 inch National Pipe Thread, NPT. So I went and got a flared fitting. Well, it wouldn't fit. It's too big. What he forgot to tell me is he needs to know the difference between an AN fitting and a flare fitting. So I called up the Summit and went to Earl's and got Earl's, and this is 1/4 inch MPT to -6 3 AN fitting. So that's all set to go. That's the supply line to the filter is ready to go. I cleaned off the straps. Now we got to get the tank in here, clean that up. We're going to try this contact cement. This is stuff I used before. But one thing that's different is the tank is powder coated, so, and I didn't rough up the surface on the powder coating, so this time I'm going to rough up the surface on the powder coating, and we'll glue these back on while they're gluing and drying and setting. Then we'll put the return line in, and no real big rush, but hopefully today we'll get the tank in. So when I get more, I'll turn this back on later. Hey tubers, okay, I cleaned it off. I roughed it up a little bit, reapplied contact cement on both sides, let it sit for 20 minutes, and it looks like it's going to stick. Hopefully better than it did last time. Last time I used the 3M stuff. This, what was it? Where is it? Oh great, now it's buried back there. But it was the 3M 77. Yeah, and so this time we used that stuff. I think Kerry recommended it, and we'll give it a shot. So we'll let that set up for about, well, I'd say probably about an hour or so, then we'll flip the tank down. We'll put these fittings in, tighten them up, and then I'll run the return line, get it all clamped back in. I might have to change the size of the clamps, and get the tank dropped in and get it ready to go back in. More when I have some later. Hey tubers, the return fitting is in, and the supply to the fuel filter is in. So next up, run the return line, clamp it into place, and drop the tank in. More in a minute. Later. Hey tubers, I was looking at you can see it right there. That's the AN fitting for the return line, and I and I always wanted to put a street elbow on there, or a 90-degree elbow going from female coming over and coming out here to where I can just take this line and just go into it like this. And I said, well, if I'm taking my time and I'm putting this back together this way, then why don't I just sit there and take my time and see if I can find a fitting. So bear with me, coming into my messy office, and I found one on Summit. So parts ordered, and hang on, sorry for the shaky cam. Parts ordered, and it'll be shipped out on Monday. Like I said, I'm in no hurry to get this done, and that's it. So we're gonna conclude this video for today. Oh, a long time ago somebody asked me what the significance is of this F4 on my computer monitor. That's the first aircraft I crewed as a crew chief in the Air Force back in 1971-72 at Nellis Air Force Base, and it's the first one that I got a ride in the back seat of. So, and right now it's in the Gulf of, at the bottom of the Gulf of New Mexico. They turned it into a QAF4, a radio-controlled one, and it got shot down by, I think it was an F-22, if I'm not mistaken. So that concludes today's video. I want to thank everybody for subscribing, watching, and of course leaving comments. We'll pick this up when I get the fitting in. Later.